Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Gospel of Two Wheels, where the coffee's hot, the bikes are in pieces, and your comments are absolutely ridiculous. I've got Mr. Brian Pierce coming in, hopefully half naked.
Well, pretty much. I got this nice short, shirtless tank on or whatever. I literally just got. I mean, I don't even. Yeah, we're here.
Yes, I love it. This is how we operate, folks. I literally texted Brian a second ago and said, "Hey, you want to be on the podcast?" He's like, "I just got done running, and here we are." Because we are going to talk about the National Enduro coming up, where I'm going to get to see Brian race against Brian, have a ton of fun. It's going to be a really great.
You're in the 50+ class, buddy. We're technically not racing each other.
Well, we're there at the same time, and yes, we are.
Okay. Oh, okay. Like at the end of the day, you're going to be like, look at my score and look at your score.
That's right, which is probably going to be you being faster than me, but we're going to give her hell anyway, so I'm excited about that.
I love
it. Looks like we got a lot of folks on here. Bruce Kennedy, Dev, that's fun. 52A James, Kenneth Keller, Scott Copland, Steve Thompson, Dave Brayman. There's my mom. Everybody say hi to my mom, including you, Brian.
Hello, Suzanne. I didn't get to see you when we were in Tulsa for like, what, an hour?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's awesome. So here we are. We're going to talk about the National Enduro. I've raced Enduros. I've raced Restart Enduros. I've not raced a National Enduro, so I'm pretty excited about that. I was asking Brian last night about the route sheet, and we were discussing the whole thing. I'll pull up the picture and I'll hold it up, but they give you a route sheet, and it's based on a 30-mile-an-hour speed. Is like
I believe that's correct. Yeah, it's around there. Yeah, they kind of base it off of that. Yeah, and then what they do is they use pauses. So technically, it's in the rule book. It's still a timekeeping enduro, but they use the rules and shenanigans of an enduro to make it work, right? So this restart format is real. That's why you see all the pauses. So like in there, sometimes like there's like a 5-minute pause somewhere. Like I've seen things that are like really weird where there's like a 2-minute pause somewhere, and that is literally just so that they can make up the weird time, so that when we go into the next test at like 25.5 or whatever the miles are, that the time works out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I started to figure that out. It looks like yeah, it's interesting that they still have to kind of go on the timekeeper format, but they make the speed average so high that no one could possibly beat it, right?
Right.
Like no one could beat early, and then they add those pauses to give you time to get to your next test and all that stuff. So, super interesting.
And I believe that's just because of like the AMA rules, right? Because it is an AMA sanctioned event, and like NEPG is like just the promoter of the AMA National Enduro Series. And so I believe I was trying to talk with Eric Kudla about this back when he was still with the AMA. And he explained it much more eloquently than I can, but that's kind of like the gist that I got from it, is that's why we see pauses and sometimes little rest in different areas, is they're trying to let the official time catch up.
Gotcha. So when are you going to be showing up? I'm going to be getting there like maybe Friday night, actually.
Okay. And I'm actually glad you asked, because I've been playing with that, like, because it's like 9 hours for me. So I could drive out on Saturday and get there around like 5 or 6, but it may make more sense maybe to like leave on Friday afternoon, sleep in a Walmart somewhere. And that way I can get there around like noon or 1 on Saturday, so we can hang out a little bit more and goof off and get registered together. And, you can ask all the fun questions and I can attempt that I have knowledge.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited because I'm going to leave here Thursday after work and drive as far as I'm feeling happy to drive. And then I'll finish up the drive on Friday. Probably. I can't imagine taking more than that anyway. But yeah, I'm excited. Super, super, super excited. I think I'm going to take a southern route through St. Louis, and not St. Louis, Springfield.
Yeah, but if you go through St. Louis, you went too far.
Right. Well, that's actually how the fastest route goes like just outside of St. Louis and then down, because coming from Colorado,
really?
Yeah, it comes.
Oh, because it's straight across.
Yeah, it comes down, but I think I'm going to take the up. Anyway, whatever. It's going to be rad. Um,
Yeah, you'd think it'd be the same for me, right? That you like take 40 right up and over across, like towards St. Louis, and then drop down into Park Hills. But because of mileage and whatever, it's actually like Little Rock, Arkansas, and then northeast of Arkansas, clip up on a highway, and then you like hit all that to like kind of like pop into Park Hills from the bottom,
from as they say.
as they say.
What so as a gentleman who has raced the lead belt enduro, what am I looking forward to, Mr. Pierce? What are like
Well,
what kind
so
of terrain?
yeah, I got lucky enough to race it last year when I did the full blackjack series. So if anybody's listening to this and hasn't had a chance to go see that recap, it's not as long as the newer ones that I've been putting out, but it's still about 10 minutes and it gives you a good idea of what you should expect. Now, if it's close to what it has been in the past, again, from the one time I have raced it last year and a lot of the other Missouri races, it's really cool undulating elevation. And so I don't remember anything extremely steep, right? In the sense of like tough hill climbs, but it's just one of those really cool spots where you're just like, wee, like just gonna go in, and they make it really fun. And one of the highlights of Missouri, I thought, is all the little marbles that cover the trail. In that video, you will see me eat shit and hit my head on the ground before I even get a chance to pop a hand out, because that's how quick your front end can wash out from underneath you when you're too balanced or you're off balance in a certain place because of all that marbly stuff out there. Now, it is a lot like the Flying W. So I've got like 2 videos out from Flying W. So if somebody wanted to watch those as well to kind of get a concept of the terrain. But the one thing I will say about this, especially Test 6 and other aspects of it, there are bigger rocks and they're
Right.
more, but they're planted, right? So a lot of what we saw at Flying W was like baby head and smaller, and they were loose, right? There weren't a lot of like planted big rocks that you're just like super hard hammered hits. You have more of those at the lead belt. But because of this weird mine that used to be a lead mine back in the day, there's like a lot of varied terrain. So the start of test 1 was essentially a sand track. And then like after about a mile of a sand track, you like hammer into some woods, and then you get like that more traditional Missouri. So because of all the mining that was done on the terrain and like stuff, drug out of the ground and spit into a weird spot or whatever, it's created some pretty interesting changes. And they did have a really cool grass track section as well. That
Nice.
was close to camp. So I would assume that that's like probably something we'll probably gas back at camp, and then they'll head us out on that part of the property. And again, that was really cool. That's where last year I had like a wicked high side that, of course, didn't have the camera on for, and like hit my head really good. So I hit my head twice in that race really good. I forgot. Oh, that's also the race last year where I broke my pinky toe. One of those big rocks I was talking about that was
Yeah.
really planted and didn't move anywhere. Yeah, when your foot gets caught between a rock and your foot peg, something's got to give.
Something
And in this
something is
case,
going
it
to
was
let
my
go.
pinky toe.
Nice. Yeah. I'm super excited because I've never even ridden anywhere east of Tulsa, Oklahoma. I think that's the farthest east I've ever gone with a dirt bike. So that's fun. And then I'm excited to see you. And there's a bunch of people that say they're going to be there. Tyler Humphreys, the guy that makes the moose juice, is going to be there
Cool.
racing. So that's going to be fun.
And I see we got a couple in the chat too. I think at least I saw 1 or 2, like 6-hour drive, like, and what class they're in and stuff like that. It was at
Yeah.
least Kenneth.
Kenneth is just coming down to hang out, which is rad, from Tennessee and coming. I don't know. So that's probably coming up across. I don't know. Quick 52A James says, have I adjusted the valves on the WR yet? No. I checked them when I did the big bore and they were perfect. So I haven't touched them. And that was 60 something hours in. If we get a chance, Woody, we should drag race the bikes and see which one's faster, the 350 or the 300 WR. It'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if it's anything like the Pulp X whole shot challenge, it's going to be the man that can actually hold the throttle to 100%, not
Oh
the
no,
one with the
yeah.
fastest
It
bike.
won't be a whole
It's a
shot.
testicular fortitude more than like motorcycles.
And no, it won't be like, I mean, because that would be fun too. We just do a whole shot challenge, but also, I'm just thinking like we could each do each other's and see which one we feel like is faster. Not, yeah, just because I'm interested to see the difference between a 350 and a 300, and
The last time a man said that to me online, things turned weird.
things got real weird.
When we
We're
last time that we did it, we're just gonna do each other's, you know.
Yeah, we're just gonna ride each other's.
These national enduros are, man.
What is the? I mean, obviously we don't know yet because we don't get the route sheets until we get there. But what's the mileage for this one? Do you know? Do you remember what it was last
I
year?
I don't. We could go figure that out. But in the long run, a national enduro has to be 45 race miles,
Okay,
if I remember correctly. And so, or that may be 45 ground miles. That may not actually be 45 race miles. I'm trying to remember. Flying W is like right at the crisp of it. And I think they are like almost all 6 mile tests. So whatever 6 times 6 is, 36. So it's probably 45 ground miles, and then probably like 30 to 35 race miles is like minimum.
gotcha.
Um, so and test 6 is really cool. And last year it was fairly dry. And even though it was fairly dry, it was still very challenging A only test. And it has the waterfall in it, which you saw me fall in. And so the thing with that is what everybody was telling me. I would say the first waterfall is maybe about the height of a picnic table, which again, if you just ride off on a dirt bike, your forward momentum will drop your front end and you lean back and you're going to be fine. You know what I mean? Like that's that height, right?
Sure.
And I saw it. I saw the guy pointing. You could see the water where everybody else had kind of ridden off. And I was like, oh, this is like, I had built it up to like what was 3 feet turned into 10 in my head, you know?
Right.
And I was like, when I pulled up, I was like, oh, I drop off shit like this all the time. So I didn't take their advice in the heat of the moment. And I picked the front end up to just kind of like lob off of it. Nothing crazy, not speed, literally just that little blip. When that front tire hit the ground, it washed out faster than I could think about. I think my front tire washed out faster there than it did on the marbly stuff in the trail. And
Right.
so the reason why they tell you to be so careful in that waterfall area is there's tons of algae underneath the water and you can't see it. And so it just pools up those places where you're coming down the little waterfall sections. So that's something to think about. Like when you watch old NEPG footage, you're watching these guys launch off of this stuff. And you have to understand that they know they're launching to the end and then they're bouncing off the next one. And then you know what I mean? So their front
Yeah.
tire is landing right at the edge, not in the pooly algae stuff. So it's kind of this weird thing where it's like, you do need to go a little bit slower there if you're not just going to send it, because you want that front end to like actually like place itself smoothly through that.
Yeah.
I know that's a lot, but it's like everybody said that to me. And when it came into the moment of time, I literally said, F it, and just pick the front end up. Don't do that.
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited. Like that, you know, and I'm down. I'll crash. I'm not worried about that. I'm not in it for points. I just don't want to break anything. Bruce Kinney says our Jack Pine Enduro, obviously super duper famous, is 80 to 90 miles actual. People roll in late in the day and spent and exhausted. Yeah, dude, that's like the Shady Burrow was like that. 100 miles a day for 2 days was just epic. I mean, absolutely epic. Like what was that one transfer was almost 20 miles out, right? Like that. Yeah, it was like like actual legit riding, which is super rad.
Yeah, and I know I love races like that. When the Cajun Classic one year was 101.1 mile long, I loved it. I would go back to that race every single year. It is an ass kicker, and you know, regardless of how you finish, when you come out the other side, that you accomplished something that very few people truly could ever do, let alone those that can race at race pace the entire time. But with the Nationals, you can tell there's been an ebb and a flow back from like 2007 when Alan started NEPG and kind of took over with this restart format, that it changed and got a lot faster. And they could, because they wanted to get more of the GNCC teams in, they weren't nearly as technical. They weren't as tight. And I feel like they're ebbing back towards allowing a little bit more of that we've seen over the past couple of years, allowing more of longer, tighter. It doesn't need to always be something that might be throttle at the stop type of fast and so it'll be interesting now that Stu Baylor's bought it and is officially kind of like taking it over next year. And we've talked a little bit about how he plans to evolve the series. And so it'll be interesting to see like if more 80 and 90 mile enduros show back up within the series so that we can get a little bit, because again, I'm a keep endurance and enduro kind of guy, right? Like I
Yeah.
made the damn t-shirt, right? So it's like, I want that. And I
Yeah.
think that when you finish events like that, like here's your finisher pin, here's your finisher badge. Like you did something a lot of people can't do.
That 100%. That's why I love the National Hare and Hounds. I mean, they are long and ridiculously hard. I mean, they're 80 to 100 miles of just beatdown. Now they're fast, obviously. Well, at least first loops are. Second loops are not as fast.
They're fast for the pros. Like for us, they're relatively fast.
Wow, dude. Even like us normal humans, the first laps are. I mean, they're still fast. Like it's just like because I mean, it's wide open, so you just gotta go fast, especially if you're gonna keep any kind of dust behind you. But the when you come in and they give you that finisher pin, it means something. Like it's like cool, and they tuck it in your they always tuck it into your glove because you're just so wiped you can't even hold on to the thing. And they tuck it in your glove, like good job, man. Like way to go, and it's just super super rad. So I mean I'm excited. I don't care. I'm whatever 45, 50, 60 miles. I'm excited. But I would like to see longer, gnarlier enduros, like you said. Keep endurance in enduro.
Yeah.
Like make it real.
Yeah, so Bruce Kennedy was asking about so I don't remember when this was. It might have been 3 or 4 years ago that Alan made a post that he's like, I'm retiring and he is going to sell NEPG. Well, AMA pretty much said, hey, we have a contract with you, Alan Rant, not NEPG. So if you sell NEPG, that doesn't mean that NEPG is going to be able to be the promotions group for the National Enduro next year. So I'm piecing some things together after hearing that and what's happening now, so that when there was a renewal of a contract, Alan then signed that contract with NEPG, right, under the official business name of NEPG, not under his own personal name of Alan Rant. And so that way, when NEPG was sold, that it could be gone to Stu Baylor, unless, of course, AMA allowed Stu Baylor to sign that he was going to take over promoting the National Enduro Series, which then allowed him to buy NEPG and make that make sense, right? There's probably a lot of ins and outs, and I'm trying to connect some dots there. But Stu's been really quiet about it on purpose because he's still racing this year and everything with his team. And so he is not taking over, right? He bought it. And I believe he's either paying Alan or in the contract that Alan is still running the series for him, so that there's like a transition period. Don't make that weird. Of between the owners now.
Yeah, gotcha. Right on. That's cool. I mean, that'd be great. I mean, I think it's also really cool to see a legit racer coming into the ownership, right? Because I mean, Stu's a bad dude on a motorcycle, and I think it hopefully will be really, really good for the series and the sport to see someone who's won lots of races and knows what it's like to be running it. I think that could be really good for everything about the thing. So
yeah. One of the things that they've talked about is like potentially B and C racers could race on Saturday, and then A and up could race on Sunday, right? Specifically so that there's that way when it comes to, there could be then official spectating, right? So that there could be a spectating map now, so that spectators that race on Saturday could go out and watch some of the pro riders. So then there's a chance to capture more footage, right? That's a big part of this. As enduro racers, we're racing. We don't get to watch the pros. We have to wait for the highlight reel to come out. Well, maybe now for B and under, there could be that chance to do that. And that's also a way to potentially, and I don't really know a more political way to say this, but this way that the passing of the A and up guys is lessened, right? So that it's a little bit more one-to-one, because you do hear the stories where it's like 4 guys were crashed on the trail. I had to make a reroute and it took me 30 seconds to get around. Or, there's just one guy that like just doesn't get out of the way. And you know what I mean? And so when that happens, like, yes, it unfortunately does. It can ruin the race for those that are behind.
Yeah, for sure. And, some people, and I've even said it, it's like, well, that's part of enduro racing, right? I mean, that's why, if you don't want that, then go race a hare scramble or go race a GP or GNCC. Like, but I mean, I totally understand. And that's why they put all the pros. Where are the pros line up in nationals? Where are
In
the
the 30s now. Yeah, they used to be in the 20s, but what was happening is they noticed that the guys in the 30s were actually getting better times than like, you know, respectively, or with respect, there were slower riders, slower racers in the 30s that were then getting better times than some of the guys in the 20s. And they were like, listen, let's just be honest. This guy shouldn't be beating me. It's because the trail's more broken in and there's more hot laps or hot lines at that point. So instead of like 21 being the start for the pros, they moved the NEP, what are the NEPG one guys, NE1 guys to the 30s, 31 and back. I think they're actually at 33 now. Again,
oh,
they moved them back. Like they were like 31, then 32. Now they're at 33 is where they start. And they have the NE2 guys start at 21 and up. And then the ladies, the pro ladies are 18 and back.
gotcha, right on. Yeah, and I by the way, everybody, I'm on row 16, which I actually am super excited about. That's usually a happy place for me because the trail's usually broken in. Obviously, there's not going to be hot lines, from the pros, but it's broken in enough that I shouldn't get lost, which would be nice. uh,
I find that the National Enduros do a really good job with arrowing. Like
Nice,
even if you were to go to like, let's just be honest, Blackjack is notorious for being poor about arrowing.
right?
But Flying W as a national, because they go pre-rided and put more stuff, like I've felt that it was pretty good. Now, both years, I'll be honest, I have sent messages to the promoter of that event and been like, here's just a couple thoughts on how to even make it better. And it's like, and that's all it's about. It's not that, man, you did a shitty job. It's just like, this is a national. Like there's a level that we should be at. And here's a couple things that I've noticed over the years that could probably be helpful.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and there's always room for improvement, no matter what you're doing, right? I mean, there's always a way
Yeah.
to make things better. And listening to racers, and Bruce Kennedy mentions that Allen was a D14 champ, and yeah, Allen was a bad man, obviously back in the day. I'm just excited that it's not. I guess I should have said that, not that Stu is coming in. He's the only fast guy to do it. Is that he's still a fast guy to do it, not some corporate thing coming in over trying to make money. Um, you
Yeah.
know, just trying to make
I
money.
think Allen's done an amazing job because if you
Oh,
think about it, everything back to what he's saying, like that was timekeeping out the wazoo, right? It was like the Mike Lafferty's and Russell Bobbitt's and Nick Farringer's that like had to transition from timekeepers to, to seeing like more outright restart, fast speed and stuff like that. And how many times has Alan Rent been to the ISDE? Like an umpteenth amount of times, not even just as a senior guy, but as a club guy. Like Alan Rent knows how to ride a dirt bike, knows how to race a dirt bike, and definitely has done a phenomenal job with the National Enduro Series. So when I do get a little it's not judgmental, right? When I talk like a lot, I do put out content when I feel that promoters and National Enduro could do better. It's just because I'm a racer in the series and I am trying to go do my best. And if they make that harder and give me other things to think about than actually just the race itself, that gets in the way of that. And if it's a problem for me as just a guy driving across the country as an A racer, then it's probably going to be harder for others as well. You know what I mean? Like, and
yeah,
so
yeah, and like I said, it's there's always room for improvement. I mean, our local series, I love to death, and I love the guys that are running it. They're really good friends of mine, and it's super fun. But yeah, we've all got lots of things to say about how it could be better, right? And it's not because we think
yeah,
they're doing a bad job. It's just because I think that it could be better. It could be better, especially marking. Course marking is one of my, I don't know, that's a thing. After racing with National Hare and Hound and using Caselli's markings, and is obviously more of a desert situation how they mark things. Um, Dude, the Caselli Foundation markings are the safest I've ever felt in my entire life at a desert race going fast. Like, I've never felt so safe as when those guys mark a course. And our local series could do a better job because like it can be a little dangerous. I mean, dirt biking is dangerous. I get it. Blah blah blah. All those things, right? But like, um, making it as safe as possible is good. And obviously, enduros are not so needed with the dangers and all that stuff. It's mainly about not getting people lost, which is fun.
Yeah, and it just sucks because it's such a time. It's 100% time based, right? Like in the long run, as we said, you're going to be in the 50A. I'm in the 45A. Like technically, we're not racing each other, but because we're technically racing the clock, like we can then judge ourselves against each other. And
Right.
again, don't mean that negatively. Just like we can compare scores that way, and it's actually a pretty good 1-to-1. Right? Where it's like if we're racing a hare scramble and you're starting 3 rows in front of me or 3 rows behind me, and you've got different class people and past this and past that, like it's the same but different. You know what I mean? And I like that about enduros, and especially with us being 16 and 22, like the course won't change that much, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, super fun. Are you now? Is 22 your number the whole season, or did you?
So no, they that's one of the things that Stu and I've talked about, and I was an advocate for that. They do not let you buy a row number for the year, and I'm like that would make things so much easier. But I think a big pushback to that is what they were afraid of is then someone would want to try to buy an entire row because of all their buddies. And so what I've heard Stu mention is that they may bring that into fruition. And if they do, it's going to be max 2 riders per row. So they're only going to have 2 spots on a 6-person row that are going to be capable of being purchased for the year. So one, that doesn't allow people to take over an entire row with their friends. And that does allow people who are going to be registering of the moment that are more local racers that want to be in the 20s to be able to get something in the 20s. So that way, like you can't just go buy up all the teens if that were what would happen, right? Like as a random example.
Sure, right on. Nice.
So I started in the 40s because I wanted to be behind the pros, but I knew that there would be some fast guys always kind of like that I could try to latch onto. But what I've noticed is when I had Brendan Griner on my row at Flying W, like having that rabbit the entire time was amazing. We had a ton of fun doing that. And so I went to, was it PA? No, it was for this event that I registered. I got 23 for PA and now 22 and 22 for lead belt and then mod daubers. And I'm going to do something in the 20s also. I tried to get on Emma Hasbell's row because she and I had, again, in that same regard, like she's a really fast women's racer. And we had a ton of fun racing together at the Bartow Ranch Enduro last year. And so I was kind of trying to recreate that. But then, of course, so she had gotten 4th and they were going to put her on 22. Well, for whatever reason, they put her on 21. So now we're still missing out. But Emma's an awesome young lady and phenomenal fast woman's racer.
Nice, right on. And here's a question that I have: what are results like? Are we going to be waiting
Nope.
like a week for results? Or
you are not going to be rated. So the one thing that like because you're on an earlier row, when there's like say there's like 80 rows, I don't know what we're at. Like there could be a guy in your class back there that's doing pretty good. So that's something if you care, it's good to kind of know like okay, after I get done, results from our class should be unofficially final about an hour afterwards, right? So you can kind of have a good idea where you're at. So most of the time, if you get done and you look at it, you're like, okay, well, I know there's a guy on row 40. So I'm going to like, this is probably not unofficial. I'm going to wait a little bit to like celebrate or, beat myself up or whatever the thing is when you're looking at it. But they're pretty good. The only times that I've seen it be that you have no idea what's happening is when there's like literally no service wherever the check is.
Right.
So they typically at the checkout can have enough service that they're pumping the results out at pretty live. And so that's only been a handful of times though. So typically by the time you're like waiting at the next check, whip your phone out and you can be like, oh, all right, cool. I'm where I thought I would be. I need to step it up or I'm going to slow down because I'm going to die by test 6.
Right. Yeah. Nice. That's good. Cause one of my huge complaints with any promoter is when results take forever. And like there's AMRA in Arizona. They're getting better, I guess. And if someone's watching this from AMRA, I'm sorry I'm throwing you under the bus, but hands down,
I love you, but what the fuck?
Hands down the worst results I've ever dealt with because like my kid, this is years and years ago, we went to this race in Tucson, super crazy fun enduro. Like it was a restart. Max Gersten was there. I think Bobbitt was there. Like everybody, we were having so much fun, dude. And yeah, Russ was there because he was he was behind me, so obviously he kept passing me, and we'd restart, and I'd see him, and it was great, and so we were having a blast. Well, my kid absolutely crushed it, right, in the C class. Is Thomas, and it took 2 weeks to get the results to that, and he ended up getting like second, or no, he won it anyway, and it was like, and so he wins it. 2 weeks later, we find out that he wins it. Like, great, and then it's like, well, what do we? Is there a trophy? Is there like? So I had to have a friend go get the trophy from the club and send it back, and it was crazy. Dirt Racer X Amra has gotten better. It was really bad there for a while. That's good to hear. Super happy to hear that because they were seriously terrible.
So what they do now is they mail you personalized trophies. So, and it's also based on the number of people that are in your class. And I don't know those off the top of my head. Obviously, if you get first through third, you're on the podium of your class. So you're going to get a gold, silver, bronze. This is third, right, at Rattlesnake, but it's personalized, right? It's got Brian Pierce on it.
Ooh, yeah.
So they take a little bit of, but this gets mailed. Like this came this week, and that
Yeah.
race was like almost 2 months ago, right?
Sure.
But that's not a bad thing. I knew that I got third, right, the day of. But it's cool that we get stuff like this mailed to us. So it takes a little bit of time in the sense of like having the trophy. So that part is nice. But because of Ohio and how bad I did in test 6, which again, if you want to see an A racer crumble into the level of a C racer, go watch that recap video because it's humbling. I got fourth and I got a trophy or a little, a medal mailed. And I didn't expect that. But then I went and looked back at the number of racers, and there were a lot of people in our class. So I believe that there's like a level of like they'll mail out a couple more if the class is fairly large than just the top 3.
Nice. Sweet. Well, I'm going to wrap it up here at 8 o'clock because I got lots of things to do, and I'm the only person here today. The Sheetses are on a mini vacation for a wedding.
Sweet.
In the Northwest somewhere. See, I don't know. Anyway, they're not here, so it's just me. So I'm going to be running around crazy, working on my bike and all kinds of other things. And it's Thursday night ride. If anybody's here, we're riding Thursday, we're riding tonight, and we're going to Peach Valley. You should be there. Brian, you better get in the car.
I'm not going to be able to make it. No, I'm not going to.
You should hustle.
Yeah, I'm going to hustle into the shower so I can jump at work and nobody notice that I'm on late, but we'll see.
Yeah, there we go. Dude, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. I cannot wait.
Absolutely.
We're gonna have a good time. It's gonna be good. And I'm turning 50.
Agreed.
How cool is that? You're gonna be friends with a really old man.
I think I do. I'm 46, bro. We're there. Like we are friends with old men.
Oh, I love it. Right on, guys. Thank you all so much for joining us. We appreciate it. It's awesome. Thanks for everything, Brian. I will talk to you very soon. And everybody, I hope that what we're doing here at Highland Cycles is inspiring you guys to work on, but more importantly, get out and ride your dirt bikes!